Red Bull is openly supporting Gasly to make the move to Alpine. The French driver is highly rated by both AlphaTauri and its sister team. Due to a lack of future Red Bull options, Helmut Marko and the remaining Red Bull management opt to support Gasly in the move to Alpine. It would be a long dream for the French driver to find himself driving for the only French team in F1. What is even more interesting to the Frenchman is the ambitious project Alpine is working towards. They set a goal at the beginning of the season to be able to win races within the next 100 races. The program, called Plan Mountain Climber, is an ambitious program where Alpine wants to hire 75 extra people at strategical places that will help improve the capacity of this team. They are upgrading their simulation tools, building a new simulator, improving their production capacity while also upgrading their wind tunnel. This all should help Alpine get back to the top of the field and win races within the next 4 seasons. So far, it sounds like a bright future for the once so tormented Frenchman. But is the future bright? Although the Australian team is willing to let him go, it is far from sure that Gasly does make the move. Helmut Marko mentioned that as long as certain conditions aren't met, they can't let Pierre go. Helmut continues by stating that not only Alpine needs to agree to certain terms, but also the FIA. So what are these conditions? How does the FIA stop Gasly moving to Alpine, and what alternatives does Pierre have? Let's find out. Gasly had a bit of a disappointing run at Zandvoort after being outqualified by his teammate Tsunoda, followed by a 0-point finish. The young French driver sees one of his worst seasons in terms of point finishes. He so far has scored only 4-point finishes, which is one less than his worst season in 2018. Yet, Pierre is on top of the list to replace Alonso next year. Gasly is the ideal driver for Alpine as he is still young, but also has plenty of F1 experience. The Frenchman raced his 100th Grand Prix at the Belgium Grand Prix, and with 3 podiums and 1 race win, has a proven record. His record is even more impressive when we consider the midfield team he is racing for. Safnauer has revealed that they want a talented driver who is capable of leading the team forward. Alpine is currently the 4th fastest team after Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull, and have been able to close the gap by 1.5 seconds. Whereas the team out of Enstone lost 2.5 to 3 seconds per lap at the beginning of the season, they are now between 1 to 1.5 seconds per lap slower than the front runners. The French team has also continuously been developing their car, and in contrast to McLaren, have been able to bring upgrades almost every single race. At the last race at Zandvoort, Alpine brought multiple updates to adjust the beam wing to reduce drag and increase downforce, and to modify the front wing flaps to increase its efficiency. McLaren, on the other hand, brought none. Even better news is that Alpine found a way to bring consistent upgrades without going out of budget. Safnauer recently said to Sportskita.com, "Our plan has always been to bring an upgrade as soon as we find something in the tunnel because we have headroom under the cost cap. So there is no cost cap consideration stopping us from bringing upgrades. So whenever we found something, we would make it in large enough quantities and bring it. And especially if it was added, we didn't have to throw stuff out or replace, you know what I mean? And that's still the case." This is great news for Pierre, who has repeatedly said that he is ready to prove his worth at a top team once again. However, Gasly does have a unique driving style that requires a car that is a stable car mid-corner and provides a stable rear end to handle his aggressive throttle usage. The 2022 season is the first season where the Frenchman has more difficulty beating his teammate than in previous years. This might have to do with less rear downforce, which he prefers so much. In 2021, Tsunoda only managed to outqualify the Frenchman once. Currently, Gasly is 9-6 ahead in qualifying and 9-5 in races. Over his F1 race career, Gasly outqualified his teammates in 65% of the time, which ranks among the top of the field. The Frenchman revealed during the Belgian Grand Prix to Russell that he is still working on the final details of the contract. Although Gasly completely denied that it had anything to do with F1, it is too coincidental that it had to do with something else. But while everything seems to go the right way, Red Bull starts to boil up the situation to an all-time high. So what was said? Christian Horner, team boss of Red Bull, was interviewed after the Dutch Grand Prix about Pierre's situation. The Englishman revealed, "I think Pierre is doing a good job within AlphaTauri, so I don't think there would be a desire to change if there wasn't an interesting option available. We got contract with our existing drivers, and AlphaTauri and Toro Rosso have produced a great stable of drivers for us to draw upon, whether it be Sebastian, Max, or Daniel." What might seem straightforward isn't actually the case. Horner points out the fact that Gasly can only go to Alpine if there is an interesting option available to Red Bull. You might think that after they put him through a massive roller coaster during the 2019 season, where he was promoted and demoted within 12 races, they would give him some credit. Pierre was thrown into the lion's den in 2019 when he barely had any F1 experience and had no idea how to handle the pressure of such a large team as Red Bull. In an interview with Motorsport.com last year, he mentioned that he never felt supported in times when he needed it the most during his short Red Bull racing season, after his unfortunate crash during preseason, which did cost the Austrian team valuable practice time. He never received the support he needed to overcome the mental breakdown he had. What made it even worse was that the car was completely built around the wishes of Verstappen, who has a different driving style than Pierre. The combination of both led to a failure and a demotion. With no clear sight as to when Gasly can get another chance at Red Bull in the future, it is time for the Austrian team to let him go. Despite the good intentions when Helmut Marko and Horner said to not stop Gasly of going to Alpine, they also added that they will only let him go if they can sign Colton Herta. After the Dutch Grand Prix, Horner said the following: "Herta is a great talent. He is a young and American driver that has been a standout talent in the US. It will be very interesting to see how he performs in F1. The sport is growing tremendously in the US market at the moment, and to have a successful US driver could be very interesting, especially in the long term." However, Colton Herta doesn't have the required amount of racing points needed to retrieve a super license to drive F1. A driver needs to score 40 points within 3 years to achieve one. The IndyCar series sees the same point system as F3 and Formula E, although IndyCar is the top of the American autosport. Only the number 1 in the IndyCar Championship gets 40 points, whereas the number 2 gets 30 points and the number 3 20 points. Herta has collected 28 points so far and currently ranks 10th in the standings, which would bring his total to 29 points at the end of the season. This is 11 points short of the required amount and under normal circumstances means that the American driver can't make the jump to F1. However, Red Bull is playing a political game to convince the FIA to make an exception. They argue that they can prove that he deserves the exception status. However, Domenicali, CEO of F1, was clear last week. Rules are rules. The sport has to respect the rules. Of course, American drivers, just like others, are important. If he can get his super license based on his results, that would be great. But we also have to respect the protocol. If this is the situation, then it is right to not give him a super license. Domenicali gets support from Wolff, Steiner, and Vasseur, who all believe that the rules should be respected. In that case, Red Bull's terms wouldn't be met, and Pierre isn't allowed to go to Alpine. Or is it? Horner confirmed that if they can't make a deal with Colton Herta, they won't change the driver's lineup for next year. This would be a devastating blow to someone who has been through a lot of ups and downs and is hoping for a second chance at a top team. On the other hand, he might get support from the French team, as Alpine doesn't have too many drivers' options that check their boxes. This makes it to the French team's benefit if Red Bull and the FIA can sort it out. Alpine might even add to the political case of Red Bull so they can finally secure a driver for next year. What do you think about how Red Bull treats Gasly? Let me know in the comment section below.